Welcome back. So the results of the 2024 general elections have been announced. Coalition talks are underway, and once again, the Good Party is the only party in Parliament being led by a woman. Is there a certain amount of resilience needed for women in politics, or do voters not recognize the role that can be played by women in a political leadership? Let's now speak to the Good Party leader, Patricia De Lille. Minister, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. Just before we get into the nitty-gritties of the discussion, your assessment as the Good Party around how your campaign fared, and also that this time around you are one seat less than what you had in 2019 when you only had a couple of months to prepare for your election campaign.
Yes, thank you, Alden, for the opportunity, and good morning to the viewers. Alden, we ran a campaign that said, stop the suffering. Our manifesto was based on a recipe to stop the imbalances of society, to rebalance society. And also by extension, stop the suffering of women, because the face of poverty in our country is the face of a Black woman. And our message went further also to focus on gender-based violence and femicide. We ran a campaign for the past 3 years. So that was central to our message that we were offering to the voters. Of course, also, not just because we are a woman-led party, but also because we know that the suffering amongst women in our country, it's really the worst. Now, whether that message landed properly with the voters, I mean, we will still do a postmortem to check on, what did the message not work? Was the message not directed? But we also knew that the majority of voters in our country are women. And also we were led by that we believe that the struggle against apartheid was not only a struggle against racial discrimination, but also a fight against an apartheid government that was profoundly patriarchal. And these two evils need to be fought together. I started this fight way back in 2004, where I said, look, I want to become the first woman in South Africa to start a political party and gain seats at all 3 spheres of government. It was exactly to take on the patriarchal society that we still live in. And I have achieved that. 30 years later, when I looked at the ballot paper already, I could see that it was dominated by male faces only. And we said that we must make sure that we up the fight against patriarchy in society. But today, 30 years later, I'm still the only woman leading a political party. Yes, we are doing very well as a country in terms of women representativity. But where we are failing substantially is that to get women to come out and lead political parties. Of course, over the past 30 years, you've also seen our late sister of the NFP, the National Freedom Party, being a woman-led political party in Parliament. And maybe South Africans are not ready for a female president in this country, and that we need to go back to the drawing board and encourage more women to lead political parties. But I will be the first to say, Alden, it's tough. It's tough. You have to balance your family life. You have to earn an income. You have to campaign. It's not very easy. You need the resources, to start a political party. But I can just say to the women that participated in this elections, now don't give up, continue to fight and to build.
Yeah. So how should we understand that, Minister, considering, for instance, that if you look at the number of registered voters going into these elections,
Yes.
The majority are
Yes.
women. 55% of registered voters are women going into these elections. So what we do know, at least, is that women are part of the social and political fabric of the country. They do participate. But what is it that when
Yes.
it comes to the leadership of a woman, that the women don't get that necessary support that is required to get to that particular level? And what is it about the women leader themselves? And I'm sorry to put this question this way, but what is it about how the woman leader presents herself to the public that says that I am a leader who you can express confidence in, and I would be able to take your plight to the highest office in the land?
Yes, I think for me, my appeal first is to all members of parliament. Now that we are past the elections, that your responsibility must include dealing with the issue of women. Stop the suffering of women. We've all got a responsibility to do that. It's also about, Alvin, it's also about people making choices. And we must also respect the choice of the voter. We must also respect the choice of the voter to vote for whichever political party of their choice. But we can't continue in this way, whereby 30 years later in our democracy, we can't give women a chance. If you look at the world today, Aldrin, and the mess in the rest of the world has been caused by men. So at some stage, I think when the voters are ready, they will consider, giving women a chance. But for now, we are where we are 30 years later, having one woman leading a political party in parliament. But Alvin, I've become used to that over many, many years from my trade union days, that I've always been outnumbered, always, but I've never been outmuscled. I put up a good fight for our country, for what is best for our country. And even though I'll be alone in parliament, I can assure people that what I have put into the manifesto of good, which is to fight against poverty, to fight on the most unequal society in the world. The face of poverty is a face of a black woman. I will continue to fight against gender-based violence and femicide that has also become a pandemic in our country. But I will certainly not be judgmental and judge women to say, oh, you voted wrongly.
Yeah, but isn't that what the conversation should actually become? That level of honesty that is required. That sure, you have made a choice, and while we respect the choice, we are also able to critique that choice. But also from your end, as a Patricia De Lille, how much responsibility do you then take around, for instance, how the Good Party has fared, considering that before you were part of the PAC, then you were part of the ID, you formed the ID, then there was the Democratic Alliance, and then the Good Party. So what does it say to a voter about Patricia De Lille as the individual, a politician who happens to be a woman? But of course, by saying women, we don't mean that it's a woman and therefore the women will only look at the interest of women, but will look at the interest of society as a whole.
Yes, I think, Alvin, yes, look at myself as an individual, but link that to my track record in government, link that to my experience in government. And wherever I was called to serve my country in any capacity, I've always put the country first, and I'm there as a servant. And as far as that is concerned, the track record is there for everyone to see. It is not about the vehicle that you use to have a say in Parliament. It is about your principles. It is about strategy and tactic that you use. I've never changed my principles. Doesn't matter where and which vehicle I have used to put the voice of women forward, and to put and to fight for the things that I passionately believe in. And that is, we are not a poor country. We cannot continue to have any plan going forward without prioritizing poverty. The poor cannot be punished because the economy is not growing. But in the meantime, while we wait for the economy to grow, we need to look after the poor people. And that is my message. Whether I'm there alone or this is what I started doing from the days of the liberation struggle. I know where we came from as a country. Yes, many things have changed in our country, but we could have done better if it was not for corruption, because corruption steals directly from the poor children. And, you know, until they put me one day 6 feet under the ground, I will continue. I will continue, because that was what the struggle was all about. Remember where we came from, and then never forget ever that there are just too few people tasting the fruits of our democracy. I will work even harder to make sure that we grow the base of people that can taste the fruits of our new democracy. Okay. So it doesn't bother me at all. And what people are saying about me, thinking about me, that's their problem. It's not mine. I've got a goal. I've got an agenda. You only come to life but once. And I stay true to my agenda, which is to make sure that I'll fight until the last minute for the poor people of our country.
Finally, Minister, conversations around the Government of National Unity. Have you received the call as yet?
Yes, I did receive a call yesterday, late evening, from Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Mbalula, and for consultation. And the party has agreed, and so we are busy setting up the appropriate time to meet sometime today.
Sometime today. Any conditions that you are attaching to these conversations?
No conditions at all. I think for us, again, the principle that the party that received the most votes must lead the negotiations. What we will go and listen to and would like to hear from the ANC is that, what do you mean with the Government of National Unity? What will be the structure of this? Because we are more interested in the function, and that the function of this Government of National Unity or coalition, the first function must be the priority number one, to get our people out of poverty. So we are open-minded. We will hear today what exactly does the ANC mean when they talk about Government of National Unity. And then thereafter, we will report back to the party structures.